Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Hakim and my metric number is 195188. So today I will be presenting about my study, which is a systematic literature review on fungi bioremediation of plastic. So my supervisor is Dr. Nur Hafizah Pushiri. She's been supervising my work throughout the time and she's guided me through right and wrong. Next. For introduction, since the main topic of this study is about the fungi bioremediation of plastic, we have to look on both sides of the problem, which is plastic has been widely used for its function in our today's standard, but it comes with price as environmental contaminants. The spread of these versatile polymers have resulted in inappropriate disposal and inadequate end-of-life management. As we all know, when we use plastic, we tend to use it for a short life shelf time because as we've done with it, most people practice it by throwing it or dispose it right after it has been used. So it's not very sustainable method of usage of plastic. So next is fungi can be utilized to degrade environmental, chemical, and decrease the risk of associated with metals, radionuclides, and pollutants either by chemical modification and influencing chemical bioavailability. So this topic actually really caught my attention because when I was studying for uh, bio bio biopollution, uh, it came to my attention that fungi don't have enough exposure about its capability. It was just mentioned, so I thought it would be interesting to study about this bio microremediation. So for problem statement, the future of fungi bioremediation of reducing plastic pollution. However, core application is needed. So since this topic is not widely studied, so I think by doing this research, I can see more more ways of combating plastic pollution. Next is know at least all fungus species with the ability to breed plastic and methods to apply it. So this information is not easily obtainable from other methods other than doing research of going through all most articles and journals that you can find online. So it's not something that you can easily find it like just for example. Next is research objective. So the objective of this research is to find out all the fungal species that are capable of plastic degradation and to identify the type of plastic that can be degraded by fungi. So it revolves around the identification of whether that fungi can degrade the plastic and what kind of plastic that they can be degraded. Next is the research question. So which fungal species can degrade plastic? And next is what are the type of plastic that can be degraded? Next, significance of the study. The significance of this study of microbiology of plastic can lead to which enables us to utilize the fungi bioremediation in future as one of the methods to combat plastic pollution. So it's one of the ways that we can uh, venture out to see what are the other methods that we can utilize to combat plastic pollution. Next is provide more insight on the benefit of bioremediation as a viable option in the topic of bioremediation. So this statement really states on how I think we need to see fungi as a bioremediator as a opportunity to create more option that we can set up more methods and viability in the future as a prospect. Next is methodology. Okay, throughout the research, method of acquiring related articles into info were executed as follows. The first method was to formulate a research question. So this research question really relies on how we see the problem, and then we create the question based on how we want to solve it. Next is inclusion and exclusion criteria. This prospect will be focusing on how this research goes when I needed to find the related topics within the software that I'm using, such as website that I'm using to search my article, which is Scopus. Next is search strategy. So the search strategy will be utilized in order for me to get the related articles, so that I won't be getting too much information that is not related to the topic. So this proves to be the filter funnel for the search. Next is screening process. Okay, even though we may get the appropriate, the related topics, but it does not mean that it is still correlates according to my research. So by doing a screening process, I can filter the topic that I want to. Manual this search comes with the form of finding my other kind of source, but it heavily relies on the capability of searching it on other platform. Next is data extraction, and finally is data synthesis. Okay, the search string, as you can see on the bottom left, is the search string that I've used at Scopus in order to get my my related topics, my related articles. Moving on, this is the result of my uh, method for this um, systematic literature review. These were the findings of related articles using Scopus, or the data obtained and then stored in Excel. So based on what we can see from the graph, the amount of paper that are related to this topic of microemulsion of plastic is scarce in the year of 2010 to 2014, and then it rose slowly to 2017, and then it falls down to 2018, and then later on it rose steadily. So I think from this graph you can see that more and more people are realizing how important this kind of topic is. Next is any unrelated and duplicated article would then excluded. Proofreading were done to ensure the article correlates with the main study. So this is the filtering process of my research. Discussion. Based on the data obtained from this study, several types of fungi can be bioremediate plastic. However, the type of plastic that will need to be degraded depend towards the type of fungi used. Several types of plastic seem to have no articles that mention any particular fungi can proceed with the remediation technique. So there were two type of things that were focused on this discussion, which is the type of fungi and the type of plastic. So as I mentioned before, there were various kind of mush fungi that were used, that I found were used to degrade plastic, but it really depended on the type of the fungi itself in the first place, because based on my research, Ascomata proves to be mm, the most type of fungi that we use to degrade plastic, and some of the type of plastic fungi were not used. I think this shows that several type of fungi can prove to be um, helpful in degrading plastic. And next is the type of plastic. So the type of plastic is mostly it focuses on polyethylene, and the rest it's scarce amount of information, and or just straight up no testing was done on that kind of plastic, maybe because due to its incapability to degrade. And most of the time, the type of plastic that they remediate depends on the technique that they use, because some plastic they need to be degraded by a small amount at a time, because that's why they use film instead of a large volume of that plastic straight up. So furthermore, I would like to add too, like that they also use a biodegradable plastic in this uh, in this research. So it is found that this biodegradable plastic will also be able to contribute towards the findings for the type of polymers that they will use throughout the study. So that's all from me. Before that, I would like to add that I think for my recommendation about this research is, I think it would be very great idea to have more research on the concept of microorganism, which is fungi bioremediation. These topics are not mentioned that much compared to other kind of bioremediation technique. So it would be great in the future prospect of having that more topic that revolves around microremediation. So that's all from me. Thank you.